Good afternoon, and thank you all so much for joining us today. My name is Merritt. I'm First Deputy Commissioner and Chief Small Business Officer with the City of Chicago's Department of Business Affairs and Consumer Protection. I'd like to welcome each of you to today's informational session for the City of Chicago's nonprofit capacity building program. This program was designed with input from the nonprofit community, funders, as well as stakeholders to support nonprofit organizations interested in applying for recovery programs. In response to the negative impacts of the pandemic, Congress appropriated $1.8 billion to the City of Chicago under the American Recovery Plan. In response to that, the city developed an integrated plan designed to drive transformational change called the Chicago Recovery Plan. If you have not downloaded the plan or read it, I encourage you guys to please check out the website and read the plan. This plan aims to amplify once-in-a-generation federal funding to create an equity-based investment strategy to catalyze a sustainable economic recovery. And I just want to put a pin in that many of the programs that will be administered by the city as well as through BACP are based in an equity methodology. As such, BACP will provide funding to either nonprofit or for-profit organizations to design and implement technical assistance and capacity services for disproportionately impacted nonprofit organizations in the city of Chicago. Our focus is on designing programs for nonprofits operating in low to moderate areas and those with budgets less than $1 million. In today's session, you'll learn how you can apply to work with the City of Chicago to design, organize, and execute capacity programs where you, the organization, will be responsible for supporting smaller nonprofits. Before I turn it over to Isabel, I want to acknowledge our amazing working group. You'll hear from Isabel today, who is our Director of Economic Recovery, and her position is housed in the Department of Business Affairs and Consumer Protection. Also joining us is Maurice. He is our manager, and he will also be supporting many of our efforts around ARP and the Department of Business Affairs and Consumer Protection. And many of you already know NECA, who is housed in the mayor's office, but we still her quite frequently to work on our projects, and she'll be leading this amongst other projects related to ARP. Thank you guys so much again for joining us. We're super excited about this initiative, not only what it can do for our community in immediate in terms of recovery, but what it will do in sustaining our nonprofit organizations beyond this recovery period. So with that, I will turn it over to Isabel, who will dive into today's presentation. Thank you again for joining us.
Thank you, Guinia. Hi, my name is Isabel Velez-Diaz. You have my contact information here on screen. Just a reminder that this is being recorded, so you will receive a link. You can watch this again if you have anything you missed. You can rewatch this video. I'm going to go through all of the details of this program. It is 2 different sections within a program, so it's a lot of material. I will go through all of it, and then we will answer questions at the end of the presentation. Please ask all of the questions via the question and answer box on the Zoom panel, and we will get to them that way. So as Guinia mentioned, Maurice Phillips is also on our team, and he will also be able to answer any questions. Just a quick overview of our department. So we are the Business Affairs and Consumer Protection Department. These are all the subsections within our department. We do a lot of work, so I won't go through all of them, but we're on that one from the left, small business advocacy and recovery and business development programs. So we'll be administering all the recovery programs. And this specific program is to get capacity builders that can be nonprofits or for-profits to assist all of our nonprofit partners to apply for future fundings and future programs, and make sure that once those programs are launched, they are ready to apply and have all of the necessary materials and information to do so. So this program is a response to the COVID-19 impacts. COVID-19 pandemic has left many nonprofit organizations experiencing financial hardship. As Kenia mentioned, most of the nonprofits operating in low to moderate income areas and those with less than $1 million were disproportionately impacted. So this program is targeted to them. And then to ensure a strong recovery for nonprofit organizations, we will be funding multiple for-profit and nonprofit organizations to design and implement technical assistance and capacity building services for those disproportionately impacted nonprofit organizations. So I just want to reiterate, even though this is focused to help nonprofits, both nonprofits and for-profits can apply to be a capacity builder. So as I mentioned, this program is divided into 3 categories. The first one is Readiness Summits. The second one is Application Assistance. The third one is Community-Based Outreach. As a capacity builder, you can apply for all of these, or you can apply for 1 or 2 of these. Obviously, we would like you to apply for all of them, but if you are really good at one of these 3 items and just want to apply for one of them, that is fine. So I will go through the first one. The first one is Readiness Summits. This is to inform nonprofits in low to moderate income neighborhoods about what it takes to be ready to apply for a grant and any contracts funded by the Chicago Recovery Plan and other economic recovery funding streams. So we expect the format of this Readiness Summits to be quarterly and to have 2 parts, a plenary section, so presentations on RFPs, best practices, how to apply, presentations on upcoming RFP opportunities at least once a quarter. And we plan to have all this listed online, they are. So that's also pretty helpful for that. And the second part is the small group workshops or clinics where it's just smaller groups getting information on how to apply and being able to answer, to get their questions answered directly by the capacity builder. We expect about 3,000 participants in these sessions. And like I said, this would be expected to be quarterly. For the second category is application assistance. This is more direct assistance to provide in-depth workshops on specific topics for disproportionately impacted nonprofit organizations seeking to apply for recovery funding. In this category, capacity builders would be expected to design in-depth workshop presentations as well as offer supplemental assistance, including group learning sessions and one-on-one coaching. So this is more of a program for just coaching, but also more hand-holding and getting those nonprofits through the process of applying for different programs. The expected format can include some or all of these. And so live webinars, 60 to 90 minutes. We expect the webinars to be recorded so that we can also, as BACP, link to them and provide that as a resource for anybody applying. Group sessions for nonprofit organizations where they can again collaborate, but also get their questions answered. And like I said, more in-depth one-on-one coaching with feedback and just helping them apply. And it can be virtual or in person. The applicant should propose how many hours they will be available to provide one-on-one coaching. The frequency for this will vary. Coaching will likely be ongoing, but we have some time expectations of the live webinars to be once or twice a month, group sessions about 10 to 20 hours a month, and then the individual coaching 50 to 100 hours a month. The third one is community-based outreach. This is more targeted to reaching smaller nonprofits who maybe have not heard of funding opportunities and just getting the word out. There is and will be a lot of opportunities to apply for different programs, and we want to make sure that all the nonprofits in our city are able to apply and know about the programs that are upcoming. So this community-based outreach will include conducting virtual and in-person outreach to disproportionately impacted nonprofits to build awareness about city programming and to engage and prepare them to apply for the Chicago Recovery Plan. Grantees will be expected to design culturally relevant programming depending on what neighborhood they are trying to assist and have deep relationships with the communities they are trying to reach out to. So for this, the expected tasks are connected to individual nonprofit organizations with regular opportunities for them, presenting at existing events in the community, conducting outreach to source feedback from the community back to us, and coordinating with aldermen or elected officials of the area and providing translation services and facilitating any other necessary community engagement programs. The expected frequency for this one will be attending 5 to 10 events weekly, and a lot of it will be, apart from events, just outreach and communications to the different communities. So this is some general expectations from the program. Subject matter experts. The city does not expect the applicant or the capacity builder to be a subject matter expert in every single topic they will be presenting on. So you can subcontract other and hire outside partners with specialized skill sets, and that can be part of your RFP and your budget. There are some access requirements. So as we mentioned, there needs to be culturally relevant material and also multilingual sessions, at least in Spanish at a minimum. Disability accessible content and recorded videos uploaded to the applicant website, which again, we should be able to share and link so other people can also use them. And the expected task, as we have mentioned, could include for the RFP, but are not limited to program and content design, program management and administration, organizing speaker presenters, vendor management, marketing and communication, event production, and activities and communities outcomes report. This is an important part of this program, and with all of this recovery programs, there will be some expectations of activities and outcomes reporting at the end of the program, just to show the impact that the program has had. So applicant eligibility, as I mentioned, for-profit and nonprofits are both can both apply. The program budget we have reserved approximately $1 million for this specific program. For the program number 1, we expect up to $300,000 to be awarded per proposal. For program number 2, $350,000, since it involves that more one-on-one time. And for program 3, up to $25,000 per proposal. As I mentioned before, grantees will be required to maintain requested data using a city-approved platform and to submit reports, including impact data to the city. And the grantees will be required to provide data in a dynamic file, so probably Excel or something like that. And the requested data will include, at a minimum, these items listed below. So the total of nonprofits served, total of group and one-on-one workshop hours, nonprofit participants must attest that they operate in low to moderate income communities, and or annual revenues less than 1 million, as those are as we mentioned, disproportionately impacted. We will ask you to do pre and post program surveys to have the nonprofits give their feedback on how they were assisted by these programs, and summaries of project outcomes, lessons learned, and if you have specific narratives from individual nonprofits that were helped and were able to apply, that would also be a great report. So how the RFP is scored, and you will have these sections in the portal where you will submit your RFP. You will have specific questions based on this 4 categories. So the first one is program overview, just the strength of the plan to address nonprofit needs, ongoing plan for performance management, collaboration with other capacity buildings, and detailed plan with timeline. The more detailed your plan is, the better. So the program overview will be awarded 40 points. This is the highest category, the highest rated category. The second one is organizational capacity and monitoring, which will be 30 points. So the mission of the organization is aligned with the objective of the programs, a proven track record, and you can actually do the things that you're proposing to do in the RFP, ability to conduct community engagement. So for this part, the more examples you give of your previous work, that will help you with the ranking. Then the third one is budget information. So overall program cost, the completeness of the budget, the efficiency, and just the submission of required documents. That would be 15 points. And the last one is the overall responsiveness. So if we ask anything from you that it was reported back on time, that you submitted all of the requested documents that were listed in the RFP as required, and all that will also be 15 points. So the date, sorry, the RFP due date, RFP is actually due on the 29th at 11:59 a.m. So please note that it is not PM, it is AM. So it is before noon, not before midnight. And one notice that it is always best practice to submit your RFP the day before rather than the last day, in case you have any technical issue with the system. You can email us and at the email below, bacpeconomicrecovery@cityofchicago.org, and we will be able to assist. But the earliest that RFP is in, the more likely you'll be able to submit it completely on time and just catch anything if you're missing anything. So the contract term is anticipated that the period will begin August 15th, 2022 until August 14th, 2023. So it is 1 year. The funding source, as we mentioned before, is the federal funds from the America Recovery Plan with the US Treasury. So just as an FYI, because of that, those programs will have specific requirements, specifically around reporting. And then proposals should be submitted via our online application, which is chicago.gov/e-procurement. Email or fax proposals will not be accepted, so please use that website to send it. And as I mentioned, you can email this email below and we will answer any questions you have. And now we will answer all of your questions, which I've seen there are a few on the Q&A. Thank you to Kenia, who's already been answering Nika some questions.
And I can feed you some of the questions, Isabel.
That'd be great.
So I'll just start by asking and then answering one of the questions that we've been getting around, will the slides and the recording be shared out afterwards? So yes, we'll be sending both this recording and this deck out to all registrants, so you'll have that. The first question is around, so for category 3, the community-based outreach, would the city be making referrals to funded groups, or are we expected to do outreach to enough groups to reach our 50 hours per month coaching?
I'll answer this. Isabel, so we anticipate, Valerie, that's a great question. So we anticipate that there will be a critical mass of organizations that are interested in applying for a variety of programs, not only within the city of Chicago, but other municipalities that are administering recovery programs. And so I think, you know, the way that we see this, we'll be doing this in partnership with the organization that we're partnering with on this specific category.
Thanks, Kenia. There's a number of questions about the first category, the Readiness Summit, as it relates to our estimate around the total number of participants. So we had there 3,000 participants. So I'll just say that some of this, again, is an estimate. We've had one Readiness Summit already that had around 3,000 participants, and our goal is to have quarterly Readiness Summits each quarter, knowing that folks will be repeat participants. Some might be coming for the first time. And so that is our estimate. It could be much under that, but that's kind of our best guess, right? Knowing what we know in this moment. I don't know, Isabel or Kenia, if you have anything else to add on that.
No, that's perfect, Neka.
Okay, so there's a couple of questions around like conflict of interest and eligibility. So let me find.
I think I see one at least,
Yeah.
where it says they were awarded for a different resilience program. For all these federal funded programs, because they're funded with the same bucket of funds from the federal government, it's just important that you don't do what's called double dipping. So if you have a budget for this program, that budget cannot at all overlap with your other funded projects. So for example, if you have an employee that you have assigned 50% to this project, they can't be assigned 60% to another project that is funded with these funds for the same time, because that would overlap. So as soon as you keep your budgets separate, you can apply for multiple programs and qualify for multiple federally funded programs via ARP funds, but just make sure that you have really good tracking, specifically for auditing purposes afterwards, of where your funds are being dispersed. So the flow of funds is very important, and just no double dipping is the main thing.
Thanks, Isabel. I think a similar question is, if our agency is contracted for this RFP, would it preclude us from working with nonprofits submitting on future grant opportunities? I think the answer again is no, that it wouldn't. There's no conflict there. Okay, so a couple of questions around, again, Readiness Summit. What are the expected dates of the Readiness Summit? Is it expected that a summit must be planned and produced prior to December 2022? I think that, again, the city will work with the awardee to talk through what the best schedule is and the plan there. I will say our hope is to get things started. We know there's a number of nonprofits in need of support, and there's a number of CRP related grants that are going out. And so we do have, there is a intention to get some of these dollars out the door and to be able to provide these supports. So there is some urgency there, but of course we want to work with the agencies that are selected to figure out what the right cadence is to do so. Questions on targets of nonprofits served, specifically for the clinics. So for the program about providing clinics, will the city award one to a nonprofit and one to a for-profit? And then there's also a question around what is the total number of nonprofits the city hopes to reach through these programs? So for that first question, Kimberly, the city is not intending to award necessarily one to a nonprofit, one to a for-profit. So both nonprofits and for-profits are eligible to apply. And the city will look at the application based off of the selection criteria and will award the best candidate or candidates to execute their program. So we don't intend to necessarily split it up, one for a nonprofit, one for a for-profit. As far as the targets, I think because we're looking to award, especially for those clinics, we know that people have different areas of expertise, that some folks might be well-positioned to do large group seminars. Others might be more well-positioned to do one-on-one application assistance workshops. And so there's a lot of flexibility in the program, and that you're able to identify what your area of expertise is, how much funding you would need to do to execute that program, how many people you would serve. And so the city is pretty open to receiving and expects to receive a wide range and select a number of different awardees to execute the program.
And to follow up on that one, because there's a similar question at the end of, is one entity selected for each category of the three? So no, as Nneka just mentioned, we have left it quite open just to make sure that we cover everybody who we need to cover. So, and also we are allowing people to apply for one or all or two. So it will depend on the submissions we get. If we have one organization might do all three, but then we might have some organizations who do a couple in areas that organization that's doing three is not doing any. So it's pretty open-ended.
Yeah, and then do you want to flip back to that page too, Isabel, that shows that? Because I'm seeing a few more questions around how many awards per category is the city hoping to make. So we'll just go to that page and folks can revisit it. Readiness Summits, in person or virtual, they'll all be virtual. Character or word limits, we don't have access to it yet, but want to make sure we're preparing something of the right length. I don't know that offhand. I was just gonna, Kenya, I see you're getting off mute.
And Jeff, we'll get that information to you. You can always, if your narrative exceeds the limit, you can always upload a supplemental document as well. But in response to that, we will post the question and let you know the exact character limit.
Okay. Does the RFP specify what key barriers the city is looking to address, capacity needs among nonprofits, and what specific requirements applicants would need to meet to qualify for future federal funding? So, okay, go ahead, Isabel.
No, I was going to say this is part of what we'll be working with the organization and why we mention a survey to the nonprofit. So part of the process will be, apart from us determining what have been issues in the past, figuring out from nonprofits what they need more assistance with and what will be helpful based on the requirements to apply. Sorry, Nick, if you want to add anything.
No, I think you got it. Do we bring nonprofits into the program, or do you assign or direct them to us? Do we need to know all of the nonprofits we would be including at the time of the application submittal? So I think, again, this is a joint process between the city and the grantee that, we expect this, the organizations who are awarded to be conducting significant amount of marketing and outreach, and you can read more detail about what those expectations are in the grant. And so, putting in the work to make sure that the programs there's good awareness around the programs and that there's good attendance at those programs. And of course, the city will be a strong partner and has a long list of nonprofit partners that we will also share this work out to. So it'll be a joint effort between the city and the agency that's selected. Do we need to have a brick and mortar location to be approved or considered?
No.
Yeah, no. What financials are required for for-profit applicants? Are audited financials required?
I believe so. This is one that we might, unless Kenya, you know the answer of hand. For nonprofits, we require that. I believe we also would require that from for-profit applicants. For any question that we are not 100% sure about, we will include it in a follow-up email.
Yeah, we'll include this one in an FAQ, but I think Isabel's correct that we will need financials for both for-profit and nonprofit applicants, but we'll do some digging and get the official answer on that and follow up. What provisions is the city making to ensure smaller orgs are eligible to successfully implement the work, such as addressing their cash flow requirements?
So I think that is what this program is for, is to make sure that nonprofits, smaller nonprofits have addressed all of that and are ready to apply at the time of when a new program comes up. So that is basically what this program is trying to address.
Yeah, and I'll also add that this is one program of many programs that the city is executing. I think specifically as it relates to nonprofit capacity building, this is the first phase of a multi-phase initiative. So we'll have additional supports coming down in the next few months to offer additional supports for nonprofits that include, some of what you've mentioned, addressing just immediate cash flow needs as a way to support nonprofit capacity building, in addition to some of this more technical assistance work that this program is supporting and other work that the city is doing. And so there's also pilot programs in other areas and in specific departments who are doing more targeted outreach for nonprofits to address those issues as well. So I would see this as a part of a broader suite of solutions that the city is offering. Please provide information on where to find the conflict of interest questionnaire referenced in the RFP. I think, go ahead, Isabel.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say all of those documents will be on the portal. Once you go in, you can download them. There will also be a template budget that you can use to submit, and all the required documents will be there.
Do filed tax returns accepted by the IRS count as audited financials for the purposes of eligibility for this RFP? I don't know the answer to that off the top, Isabel.
I think this we'll also include it in the FAQ, but I believe for nonprofits, the 990s is what we generally request. And then we have some questions around how often it will be, the financials will be audited, but it's a attestation. So I believe, 990 should be enough, but we will confirm via email.
Okay. I'm seeing a question in the chat. So if you have any questions, I'll try to scan the chat, but if you could put them in the Q&A box, that way it's easier for us to filter. But I see one here. Do we need to help nonprofits apply for federal funding only?
No, this will be basically to apply for just opportunities and programs with the city at this point. And the ones we're particularly working with right now, they are all federally funded, but the assistance and capacity building is not limited to it, just federal programs.
Questions around when the application is due. So I think this is an error on our part. We've got the 26th listed in this date in this slide. But I know Isabel mentioned the 29th.
Yes, 29th at noon, so before noon. And I mentioned this before, but it's good to reiterate. I would recommend submitting it the day before in case you have any technical issue, because we cannot accept it via fax or email. It has to be submitted via the portal.
So Friday, July 29th at 11:59 a.m. So right before noon. And we'll do a scan through of the website and all of our supporting documents and update that. Apologies for the confusion.
Yes, and the other thing is to make sure it is submitted. You can submit a RFP and you can start it and not submit. So you don't have to do it all at once on the system, but that also means some applicants sometimes don't actually submit at the end. So make sure your application is submitted before that date.
Okay, and one last question I'm seeing here. I believe I would be one of the nonprofits that would need this service versus implementing a plan. So my question is, we have a large connection of grassroots nonprofits that need this guidance, but we don't have the high level requirements needed to meet the qualifications for this opportunity. Am I able to partner with a grantee to help reach nonprofits?
Yes, and we actually recommend doing this. One of the things we mentioned is that we don't expect all of the organizations that are selected to have expertise or the connections with the smaller organizations to be able to do everything. So we encourage working with partners that are experts in different areas, including, working with an organization that is the actual applicant is recommended.
Okay. Any more questions? Folks want to put it in the Q&A box or in the chat. I'll give it maybe a minute or so to see. Where can you find the Chicago Recovery Plan? It's chicago.gov/recovery plan, and I will put that in the chat. And there on this website, this is where we post, there's an overview around the entire plan. So all of the grants and programs that will be funded through the Chicago Recovery Plan. So you can download that report there that's on the homepage and like see all of the things that the city will be doing. And then there's also a page called Funding Opportunities, where you see every live RFP that's open right now. And then we'll be adding a tab to have like a coming soon tab as well. So you'll see projects that have not yet launched, RFPs, that have not yet launched, but will be launching soon. So there's a bunch of resources on that website that you should take a look at. Can you share what orgs are participating on the call today? I think that would be fine to share the list of organizations that registered. So we can add that to our follow-up. When is the last day we can ask questions to you about the RFP?
Until the last day, but I recommend doing it earlier than that.
11:58 a.m. on Friday, July 29th. But yeah, I think knowing that there will probably be a large influx of questions, always the sooner the better, so that folks can respond to you and you have enough time to take in those responses. So at any point before the deadline, but sooner the better. Can we have a grant? Can the grantee have a fiscal sponsor to apply? I don't think we explicitly named that in the RFP, but yes, I think that would be okay. But Isabel, let me know if you think otherwise.
No, I was gonna say the same. We will confirm this one. I am not entirely sure.
Yeah, so we'll add that to the FAQ. And then yes, we will share the attendees. Okay, I think that's it. So just again, the deadline is Friday, July 29th, 11:59 a.m. right before noon. You can email us if you have questions. Please share this broadly to your various partners. And I think, Isabel or Kenya, unless you have any final words, we can end it there.
No, I just want to thank everybody for joining this meeting and for applying. And again, feel free to use that BACP recovery, economic recovery email to ask any questions, and just feel free to ask any questions and we'll follow up with ones that we were not able to answer today.
Perfect. Thank you guys so much for attending. Hopefully you found today's presentation informative. And again, I encourage you to reach out to the email that Isabel listed with any questions well in advance of the due date. Good luck, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon.